What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh news video, there's a lot to talk about, because in this video I'm going to be talking about all of the new cards that are coming out of Ancient Guardians, and then also, if I have some extra time left over, I will be talking about the newest thing going, and I had mentioned it about a couple weeks ago, brand new Stardust Dragon support. So I'll be talking about both those in this video, and let's get straight into it. So first up, coming out of Ancient Guardians, I believe it is known as that. Yeah, is it? Yeah, so it is Ancient Guardians. I had to confirm that to be sure. We have Dodoremicord Kulia. I know I just butchered that name, but yes, it is a Wind Fairy Pendulum. Yes, it is a pendulum with a pendulum skill of 1, 8-star, 2700 attack, 2500 defense. Excuse me. When you pendulum summon a Doremicord pendulum monster or monsters, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or spell or trap cards. So basically, they're locked out of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, it's a pendulum version of VFD. Basically, monster effect. Its second and third effects are a once per turn. This is going to be interesting. You can special summon this card from your hand by attributing 2 pendulum monsters. Okay, so it's kind of like has the effect of an Egyptian god card, where you could just summon it by attributing like 3 monsters. In this case, it's 2, so that's actually not too bad. That's actually not too bad, given the fact that there are actually a lot of pendulum decks that actually require the extra deck. There aren't a whole lot of pendulum decks that require the extra deck. In fact, I think some didn't even need the extra deck, because most of the pendulum decks back in the day were like FTK, OTK, and it was just crazy. It was pretty crazy back in the day. You can target a face-up card your opponent controls and negates effects until the end of your opponent's turn. If you have an odd number pendulum skill in your pendulum zone, you can target 2 cards instead. Ooh, okay. So if you have a pendulum skill of 3, 1, 3, or even like a 5 or something like that, then you can go ahead and just pop. You just basically target 2 cards, and those 2 cards your opponent controls they'll have their effects negated, so you can target you can target their VFD, their Borderlord Savage Dragon. You can even target their their Crackdown or something like that, for all we know. Which that's a pretty good effect. But the only downside is the fact that you have to be wary of Appaloosa, because Appaloosa, she can use her effect. No problem. They can also have a Solemn Judgment, a Solemn Warning, or even a Solemn Strike for that matter. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, is the fact that with pendulum decks, they can their effects can be negated right off the bat. Where at some decks, it's basically 50-50. And then that was actually just the second effect. The third effect says, when the effect of a monster on the field with attack less than or equal to 300 times the highest pendulum skill in your pendulum zone is activated, as a quick effect, you can destroy that monster. Okay, so it's basically it's basically a trap ult basis, which that's really good. That's a really good effect. But I'm not a big fan. I'm not really fond of pendulums, honestly. There's also the full deck list. I guess the full, yeah. So big shout outs to YG organization. You guys can definitely check it out. We have just we have so many different ones. I'm not gonna go over all the effects. I'll read off some of them just to give you guys an idea of what the archetype can do. So first up we have Dorimacord Cutia. It's a 1-star Earth Fairy Pendulum with 100 attack, 400 defense, with a pendulum scale of 8. Its pendulum effect says your Dorimacord pendulum monster's pendulum summon cannot be negated. So that's just pretty busted. That's just pretty busted on its own. Monster effect. First effect is a once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Dorimacord pendulum monster from your deck to your hand except this card, which is basically that it's a Rhoda. Literally, it's a Rhoda. Or I guess Rhoda? Rhoda's, basically it's a Rhoda. I was going to say Stratos, but Stratos is basically the same thing. But yeah, it's basically a Rhoda. And then the second effect says, if you have an even number pendulum scale in your pendulum zone, the Dorimacord pendulum monsters you control gain 100 attack times their own pendulum scale. So that basically gives it like what? It could be like 200, 400, 600, 800, even 1,000 for all we know. Even 1,200 points, which that's not too bad. Not too bad. And then the other one here we have Dorimacord Fancia. It's a 4-star Fire Fairy Pendulum, 1,600 attack, 400 defense, with a pendulum scale of 5. Pendulum effect is basically the same. Your Dorimacord pendulum monster's pendulum summon can't be negated. Monster effect. First effect is a once per turn. During your main phase, you can target one Dorimacord pendulum monster from your deck, except this card, and place it face up in the extra deck, which that right there is just pretty stupid on its own. If you have an odd number pendulum scale in your pendulum zone, and a Dorimacord pendulum monster you control would be destroyed by battle, you can destroy this card instead. So it's basically like a Return of the Dragon Lords, where you can just prevent your cards from being destroyed. So, yeah. So just to give you guys an idea, it's a deck that mainly revolves around destruction, around destroying your opponent's like field and gaining attack. That's what the archetype is about. If you guys want to check it out, you can check it out on YG organization. I believe it'll be on page 5. Yes, I'm actually reading it. It says page 5. So yeah, so that's basically what you can expect from the archetype. Is it gonna be broken, like as in like meta defying? I honestly don't think so. It's another one of those like waifu decks that everybody's gonna be wanting to go after because it's waifu. But I really don't see that deck going anywhere. Speaking of Ancient Guardians, we actually have another new card here. It's a spell called Ursardic Departure. I believe it's how it's pronounced. Oh, so it's basically a part of another new archetype called Ursardic. Both of its effects are once per turn. Discard one card, add 2 Ursardic monsters from your deck to your hand. So it's kind of like a 1-for-1, but it's more. But instead of adding just one card, you're adding 2, which that's pretty good. I mean, 2 for the price. I mean, getting 2 cards for the price of discarding 1. That's pretty good. Pretty good in my opinion. But again, Ash Blossom, hand traps for days, man. Hand traps for days. If you attribute a monster or monsters to activate an Ursardic monster's effect, you can banish this card from your grave instead. So, okay, so instead of tributing a monster to activate one of their monster effects, you can just banish. Okay, so again, it's more kind of like it's another form of Return of the Dragon Lords, where instead of your monsters being sent to the grave or whatever, you just banish the card instead. You cannot use this effect during the turn this card was sent to the grave. Yeah, that's the only downside. But if you're able to, I wouldn't say stall for time, but if you're able to find a way to but if you're able to find a way to, I guess stall for time would be the proper term. Then you'll be able to use it next turn, which that's a pretty decent effect. All right, now if I can find more of those new cards. Hang on a second, guys. Apparently, I'm not well organized. Let's see. Was that all of them? Like, what's going on? My laptop's being stupid. And I just updated this thing. Come on. Alright, so there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about with the new cards, but from Ancient Guardians, was that all of them? Okay, so there is another one here. It's actually a brand new Abyss card, actually. It's called Snake. It is called Snake Lily of the Abyss. It's a normal spell, and you can only activate one card with its name per turn. You can send one reptile monster from your deck to the grave. Then, if you have 5 or more reptiles with different names in your grave, you can special summon a reptile monster from your grave. Okay, so it's kind of like a 1-for-1, but instead of sending a card from the hand to the grave and summoning a monster from the deck, it's basically, I guess kind of like a double rota of sorts, where you're sending a card from your deck to your graveyard and then summoning a card from the deck, and then summoning a monster from the graveyard. So if you were to have exactly 5, if you were to activate this card and you were to send your 5th reptile to your graveyard, you can summon pretty much any of the 5 reptiles in your grave back to the field. So it's kind of like a it's basically like a Fool's Burial Monster Reborn, so to speak. Which honestly, that's a pretty good effect. But it's a pretty good effect, and it appears that I lost what I had. All right. Let me hang on. So, hang on, guys. Let me... No. I'm trying to find the article for the new Stardust Dragon support, but I guess I can't. I'll have to go back to where I was before. But anyway, yeah, so, hang on a second, guys. My laptop is being stupid, and... let's see. Hang on a second, guys. My laptop's being stupid for some dumb reason. Alright, let me... Let me see if I can find... Alright, you know what, guys? I'm gonna try to find... Let me see... You know what? You know what? Let me go to another... Let me go back. Let me go far back to the... Yeah, this is gonna take forever, guys. I humbly apologize. My laptop is way too old. So it's gonna take a little bit of time. So I hope you guys can forgive me. But yeah, so the new Stardust Dragon support is actually really good. I've actually done extensive test playing of it using, by incorporating it into my brother's Cyber Dragon deck. If you guys remember the last deck profile that I did, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was really good. It was really consistent. But I think I figured out the mistake. The mistake was actually using cards like Proto Cyber Dragon and Cyber Pharaohs, and I realized that fact. So I ended up cutting those out, and with the new Stardust Dragon support, it is really good. It's super broken, and if I can manage to get to it before my time runs out, I'll be able to showcase it. Oh, I did find it. Okay, never mind. I found it. Took me a second to figure it out. I thought I didn't have it. But here we are, finally. We have the brand new Stardust Dragon support is here. It's coming out of the newest set, Dawn of Majesty. Dawn of Majestics or something like that, Dawn of Majesty. And the new Stardust Dragon support is absolutely broken. So first up we have Witch Converging Dragon. It's a light dragon tuner. Level 1, 1 star, 0 attack, 0 defense. You can only special summon Witch Converging Dragon or dragons once per turn. It cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of a majestic monster. So it could be Majestic Star, Majestic Star Dragon, and even the new one, Majestic Shooting Star Dragon, and also Majestic Red Dragon as well. This card becomes Majestic Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. So it's kind of like it's kind of like the Cyber Dragon cards, where they become Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard, which is really, really good. When you draw this card, you can reveal it and special summon it from your hand. Then if you control a level 8 or higher Dragon Synchro, you can special summon a level 1 Dragon monster from a level 1 Dragon from your deck. So basically this card ensures that you're able to go into a synchro play right off the bat. That's how broken it is. Next up we have Stardust Synchron. It's a light machine tuner. Yes, it is a machine, if you can believe that. It's a 4-star, 1500 attack, 1000 defense. Both of its effects are a once per turn. If this card is in your hand or grave, you contribute a monster. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except synchro monsters. Also special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So when you use it as synchro material, you basically can when it leaves the field, by way of a synchro or anything like that, it gets banished right off the bat. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a spell or trap that specifically lists the card Stardust Dragon and its text from your deck to your hand. So it's like a Stratos, so to speak, but for spells and traps, which is pretty interesting. Next up, we have Stardust Trail. It's a light dragon, 4-star, 500 attack, 2000 defense. Both of its effects are a once per turn. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, and a monster or monsters you control is distributed, you can special summon the card, but banish it when it leaves the field. If a warrior, synchro, or Stardust synchro is synchro summoned, using this card as material, you can special summon a Stardust token. 1 Stardust token. It's a light dragon, 1 star, 0 attack, 0 defense. So that's pretty cool. So basically, this card can make, I guess, kind of like another like form of like majestic dragon of sorts, which is pretty good. And now for the big guy, shooting majestic star dragon. It is a wind dragon synchro, 11 star, 4000 attack, 3300 defense. It requires majestic dragon and at least one or more non-tuner monsters, including a dragon synchro. So it could be majestic dragon, a 1-star. So it could be majestic dragon, a monster with at least 2 stars, and Stardust Dragon basically, which is really good. Must first be synchro summoned. Once per turn, you can negate the effects of an effect monster your opponent controls. It's basically a Dark Rule No More. It's Dark Rule No More, which is really good. For each Stardust Dragon and each synchro monster that specifically lists that card in its text in your grave, this card can make 1 additional attack during each battle phase. So it has an effect similar to shooting Star Dragon, where instead of drawing out your tuner monsters, this card gains an additional attack for each Stardust Dragon and synchro monster that lists it in its text. So I believe with my build, I believe it's actually 3. If I remember correctly. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. So again, another form of like Stardust Dragon, where you can just negate card effects right off the bat and banish it, and again. And again, in parentheses it says until the end phase. So once the end phase comes, you can just special summon it right off the bat, which is really good. Next up, we have Arriving Miracle, which is the continuous spell for them. There are 3 effects. When this card resolves, you can place 1 level 1 dragon monster from your hand or deck on top of the deck. So basically, it ensures that you get to redraw it. And then summon that dragon right away and go into a synchro play, which is not too shabby. If a synchro monster or monster is a special summon, you can apply one of the. Oh, okay. Sorry, that was the 3rd effect. Second effect says Stardust Dragon and synchro monsters that lists specifically that card in their text on the field cannot be returned to the extra deck. So, that is interesting. That is very interesting. Even if your opponent were to activate something like a compulsory evacuation device, this card basically ensures that it doesn't go back to the extra deck, which is really good. Which is an excellent counter. If a synchro monster or monsters is special summoned, you can apply one of these effects. Also, you cannot apply the same effect of Arriving Miracle again for the rest of the turn. Draw 1 card or special summon a tuner from your hand. So normally naturally you would want to draw a card so you can go full combo, but I think special summoning will probably be better. Next up, we have Stardust Illuminate, which is a normal spell. Both of its effects are a once per turn. Send 1 Stardust monster from your deck to the grave. Or if you control a Stardust Dragon or a single monster that lists Stardust Dragon in its text, you can special summon that monster instead. So you can either Foolish Burial, or you can just summon it right away. Obviously, you would want to Foolish Burial it, so you can trigger the effect, bring it back, and then go into a Stardust play. You can banish this card from your grave, and target a Stardust monster you control. Increase or decrease its level by 1 until the end of the turn. So this card basically allows you to get access to summon Stardust Dragon and then go into Shooting Star Dragon or even Quasar Dragon if you're able to make it, which there are ways to make it without any hesitation. Next up we have Majestic Absorption, which is a normal spell. Target one Stardust Dragon or a synchro that lists that card in its text. You control activate one of these effects. Equip a face-up monster your opponent controls to that target. That target can attack directly this turn. Each time that target destroys an opponent's monster by battle this turn, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Excuse me. Basically deal damage. You want to deal damage. That's the best way to go. And then the last card, we actually have Majestic Mirage, which is the continuous trap for them. If a face-up Stardust Dragon or Stardust Dragons or single monsters that lists that card in its text you control leaves the field to activate its own effect, or by its own effect, you can apply one of these effects. Also, you cannot apply the same effect, a Majestic Mirage, again for the rest of the turn. Special summon one of those monsters, banish one monster your opponent controls or in the graveyard. All damage you take this turn is halved. It's a walking Call by the Grave because you can use the second part of that effect, banish a monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard. Again, graveyard. You can target their hand traps and you won't have to deal with them again. So that's pretty good. But guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Question of the day: what are you guys' thoughts on the new Stardust Dragon support? And do you think they're gonna be meta defying once the set comes out? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more Yu-Gi-Oh news videos like this one, which gets posted every Wednesday, unless if something else comes up. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, because in 2021, I know that we're already like going into our third month already in 2021, but I will be doing fan mail. If you guys have fan mail, want to send it to me, want me to open it up, my address is down in the description. And on that, this is your boy Nash signing out.